Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Tess, and if you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back. As you can see by the title and the thumbnail, I'm doing another random generator wheel, Designs My Doll Custom. You guys loved this video the last time I did it, so I'm doing it again. And I asked you guys on my community tab for suggestions on different traits and attributes that I could put onto a wheel, and you guys delivered, so I'm very excited for this video because I think that the doll is going to be even cooler to design now with all of the cool suggestions that you guys made. So if you haven't seen the first video, you can go back on my channel, I have it there, but it's gonna be the same idea as that. I'm just gonna spin the wheels to get the traits and then get to designing. So for the first wheel, I'm gonna be picking the doll base. I took off Gulia Yelps because I used her in the first video, and I also don't have Draculara on here because I use her way too much for doll customs, so I wanna push myself out of my comfort zone. So we have Caddy Noir, Claudine Wolf, Leo Denial, Frankie Stein, Twyla Boogeyman, Abby Abominable, and Spectra Vondergeist. So I'm just gonna spin it and see who we get. I love Spectra's design so much, so I'm so excited to get her as the base. I feel like depending on the different designs that we get, I want to somehow incorporate or like show off her clear parts of her sculpt because I think that she is just such a unique doll. So I'm very excited to have her. So next is colors, and if you saw my last video, you know that I was a little bit of a hater about the colors that I got. The color scheme we got is literally the color of the wheel that I'm spinning right now. And I think that looks heinous, which the doll turned out great and I loved how the colors looked. So I'm gonna try and keep that open mind with this doll. So for the colors, I'm doing every color of the rainbow plus pink, brown, gray, and black and white. I'm definitely gonna spin for 2, but if I feel like it needs a third color, I will spin again. And if I get black and white, I think I might just keep it black and white because I think especially with Spectra, that would be such a cool doll. So I'm gonna spin for the first color and see what we get. Okay, so the first color is pink. Despite the vibe of me, pink is my favorite color, so I'm thrilled about pink. Okay, let's hope the second color doesn't mess it up. If I'm being honest, because of how much I love pink, I think it goes with everything. I think like red and pink would be really pretty. I think pink is a great first color because so much goes with it. So let's see what the second color is. Blue. Okay, I think pink and blue look great together. I do think I'm gonna do a third color though, because like pink, blue, and purple, that would be so beautiful. I think any color would look great with those. I'm gonna do a third. Okay. I just can't picture it, but I'm sure it's fine. I'm not gonna do what I did last time. I'm not gonna hate on it. I just can't picture it. So orange, okay. So pink, blue, and orange are our colors for our Spectra doll. It's fine. It's fine. So next we are picking the like theme of the doll. Last time it was clown, so I took clown off the wheel, and you guys suggested some really fun additions to add to this. So now we have cryptid, bat, devil, witch, folklore, fae, and vampire. And folklore is kind of like cryptid, where if I land on that, I could pick a specific creature from those that I want to do. It's not as specific as the other ones. So let's spin and see what the theme of our doll is. It's fae. Okay, I love this edition. This is actually a suggestion on my community tab, and I was so thrilled to see it, and I totally forgot that this was even an option, but I love fairies and fae, so I'm so excited about this. I also feel like our colors work really well with this. This happened last time where the colors I got worked very well with clown. Maybe it's all meant to be. So this time it is accessories. In the last video, I kept it mainly like weapons, but a few of you actually suggested including something like a pet or a familiar, and I really loved that. And then that got me thinking to include more magical accessories, so I added staff and wand to it, but I also kept machete, flail, and mace because I think those would be really fun to have. So let's see what accessory our fae, Spectra, pink, blue, and orange character is going to have. Is it just me, or is everything like working out too perfectly? Like wand makes sense. No? Next is hair length, just short hair or long hair. It landed on long hair, so opposite from last video. Next is face design, so whether it's gonna be more of a realistic face paint or a more kawaii face paint. Okay, so realistic face paint, and this is the wheel that I'm most excited about. These are all suggestions that you guys made on the community tab. There are different things that I can include into the design, and I think I'm gonna spin for at least 2. If I'm feeling inspired, maybe I'll spin for 3, but this includes piercings, tattoos, horns, wings, heterochromia, and a sculpted body modification. So let's spin to see what the first one's gonna be. Piercings, obviously. I'm a fan. I think that's gonna be so cool. I wanna definitely do something other than ear piercings. I think like a facial piercing would be really neat. Let's go for one more. I probably should have removed piercings from the wheel. Let me redo that. And let's go for one more. I'll be honest, when I put wings on here, I was like, how am I gonna do that? Now I have to figure out how to do it because we are adding wings to our doll. I am actually looking forward to figuring out how to incorporate it into the design because it really makes sense with Faye to have wings. Okay, I'm really into that. So wings. I think I'm gonna do a third. I'm really just curious what it's gonna land on, and so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna spin it. Tattoos. I'm okay with that. That's so fun. So to recap our doll design, we are using a Spectra Vondergeist base. She's going to be orange, blue, and pink, and she's gonna be a fae with a realistic face, a magic wand, long hair, piercings, tattoos, and wings. It's gonna be a lot of work. I'm very excited because I think we can get a really cool design out of this. So I'm just gonna get right to it. I'll be right back with that design and then we can get into making the doll. So this is the design that I came up with. I stick to mainly pinks and blues and eventually figure out how to incorporate orange into the design because as you can see, that is gold. You guys can let me know down below if I cheated a little by using gold, but I really love how this turned out, and not to toot my own horn, but the doll kind of slays in the end. Okay, so stay tuned and let's get into it. So here I'm just taking my Spectra doll and I'm just admiring her because I'll be honest, Spectra is one of my favorite designs. Her hair color is just so beautiful and it pains me to chop this off. But once I chop that all off, I'm gonna use some scissors to make sure I get it as close to the scalp as possible because that's just gonna make it easier to remove all the plugs from the inside. Then I'm just taking some hot water. I'm gonna use this to soften the plastic so it's more malleable to get off the neck peg. And once I do get the head off, then I'm just going to use a flathead screwdriver to scrape the plugs from the inside of the neck hole and then use tweezers to take those hairs out. And now for the best, most satisfying part of a doll custom, using 100% acetone and a cotton round to remove the factory paint from the doll. And once I get all of that off with the acetone, I'm just going to use some water and some soap just to make sure she doesn't have any residue. And now I'm just taking some paint that I mixed up to paint the scalp, the same color that I'm gonna plug the hair. This is so if there's any bare spots where the hair kind of is a little sparse, it's not stark white underneath of it. And as you'll see right now, this is very different from the sketch from the beginning. I decided to do a split dye hair because I wanted to figure out how to incorporate more blue. And so I start plugging the hair using some nylon hair, which is the first time I've used nylon. And I do a strand and realize that I meant to sculpt some fairy ears and I should do that before she has hair on her head. So using some 2-part epoxy, I'm gonna mix that together and just give her some nice pointed fairy ears. These are gonna give us a lot of surface area to give her some piercings later. And once that's dry, I'm gonna paint it this ombre effect to pink to incorporate some of that pink color. And now back to plugging the hair, and I wanted to use this time to kind of talk about the puzzle that is doll customizing and figuring out the order in which to do things. So for this doll specifically, I knew I needed to plug her hair, then do her makeup, put her head on her body, then do her hair, because I knew if I did her hair before I put her head on her body, I'd mess it up while trying to get the head back on the neck peg. But sometimes you want to do the makeup after you do the hair, because if you're pouring boiling water over it, you might mess up the face you just did. Anyways, that's my little nugget of knowledge. If you're getting into doll customizing, definitely plan out the order in which you're going to do things, because you're going to save yourself a headache. Once I'm done plugging all of her hair, I'm going to take some Fabri-Tac glue and pour it into the neck hole to make sure I coat all the ends of the hair so none of that gets pulled out. While that's drying, I'm going to work on my favorite part of this doll custom. I don't know if you caught it in the sketch, but I snuck a fourth color? Yeah, a fourth color into this doll customization, and that is gold. You guys can let me know down below, do gold and silver need to be on the wheel? Do I need to spin them? Whatever, yada yada. Decided to sculpt this super cool floral corset, and I used the 2-part epoxy, and I covered her body in saran wrap so I can make sure it's super flush to the doll. And then I just really took my time making these really tiny details of vines and flowers, and it took ages, but I'm thrilled with how it turned out. I let that dry for 24 hours and look how it turned out. Oh my god, I am obsessed. So I'm gonna spray this with gold spray paint, which I show you the spray paint, but I don't show you the finished product. I don't know why. You're just gonna have to wait to see it. And now it is time for the face. First things first, I spray the face with Mr. Super Clear to give it a nice textured surface to work on, and I'm gonna use watercolor pencils and soft pastels to blush and sketch on the design. If you guys remember, we got a realistic face, and I typically kind of fall somewhere in between kawaii and realistic with my typical doll designs. So this one I had to make sure I went as realistic as possible, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. I recently invested in some nicer pencils and soft pastels, and I really think that helped me get these tiny details instead of relying on paint all the time, because you can get pretty detailed with paint, but the pencils really just let you build up these gradients and shadows and get these really tiny lines. And I had so much fun working on this face. I literally spent hours on it. A kneaded eraser will be your best friend while working on a doll face. I use it to help clean up details. The little highlight you see on the nose, I use the kneaded eraser for that. So I definitely recommend getting one of those. They are a game changer. Once I'm all done on her face, I seal her again with Mr. Super Clear to lock everything in place, and now it is time for me to pierce this girl up. We got piercings on the wheel, and I'm a huge fan of piercings, so she is getting all the piercings. Oh, that's, like, not that, like that, just like a septum. I'm just using some jewelry rings and some gems to give her an eyebrow ring, as well as a ton of earrings up her long fairy ears. And now I'm just tracing out her wings on some paper. I have this vision of using some clear, like acetate paper to make these wings translucent and using alcohol markers. So I'm just sketching it out on paper first so I can transfer that onto the acetate and cut it out. And guys, I am dying. The clip of me taking the acetate out, I had no idea my reflection was in it. Like, hello? Anyways, pretend you didn't see that. I'm just going to continue tracing these wings, and I'm going to use some pink alcohol markers to try and make this pink translucent vision I have in my head come to life. I'm just using this gold marker to line the edge of the wings to give them a little bit more structure, and then I'm just using some super glue to glue them together, and then I will glue them to the doll. And then I got this idea in my head to add more piercings to the wings, and now I'm kind of running with this thing where she's just covered in piercings and collecting gold shiny things and sticking them in her ears and her hair and her wings. But now it is time to style her hair, and I'm just gonna let these clips speak for themselves. So I braided these two pieces in front so I could add even more piercings to her, but now it is time for her skirt. I found this gorgeous shiny midnight blue fabric that I'm going to cut into squares. Then I'm going to use a fray block to put along all of the edges since this fabric is just so delicate to hem. And then once I have all those squares done, I'm going to iron them, fold them up, and then sew them onto this elastic band. And hopefully it will give this super loose fabric, flowy fabric, kind of like a Renaissance fair type style skirt, if you kind of catch my drift. And once all those pieces are sewn on, I'm just taking some more chains and trinkets and attaching them to the skirt to have them dangle down like more things she's collected. And I can't resist adding more sparkles, so I'm adding some more crystals and glitter to her skirt. And now for her tattoos. So I wanted her tattoos to kind of look like part of her skin almost. So where she's becoming translucent, I wanted it to look like the white part of her skin was going into the tattoo. And I wanted to bring the pattern that I sculpted into her corset down into her tattoos. I said tattoo a lot. If you're wondering where the orange was, here's where it's coming in. I am going to take the original pair of shoes that she came with and cut the ball heel off of it. And I found these really gorgeous orange crystals online that I thought would be really cool as the heel. And I also used this orange crystal to make her wand, which was something that we spun on the wheel. But unfortunately, I was entirely out of frame the entire time that I was making this wand. But luckily for you, the doll is done and it is time for the reveal. Oh my god, you guys, I am so unbelievably happy with how this doll turned out. This is probably the best doll I've ever made. I think that if you showed me this doll 2 years ago and said that I made it, I wouldn't believe you. I'm so proud of myself. But also mainly the reason that this doll came to be is because you guys showed so much love on my other random generator doll video. And so thank you so much for that. I really have fun making these and I love that you guys love watching them. So thank you for being here. If you made it this far, please subscribe, like, comment, and help me name this girl down below. Last video, you guys named her Etoile. I think it's French for star. You guys voted on that name and I absolutely love it. So let's name her down below and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.